Unbelievable. Again, Hikaru.
Rani Dench can hardly get his words out. Hikaru's flabbergasted at what's just happened. It's absolute high tension drama as ever in the Speed Chess Championship quarter-final. This was online chess between Ian Nepo with white here, Hikaru Nakamura with black, and not only are we going to enjoy this incredible game, but I'll reveal the match result at the end in case you don't know it. Let's dive in on this one. Super exciting chess as ever. Ian opens with e4, Hikaru plays e5, solid as a rock, the ponies develop, and Ian plays the Spanish, develops with a va-va-voom. He yells vamos as he looks to destroy Hikaru. a6 calmly played, hang on, can't you take? Win a pawn. No, this is the tricky dicky at the end of the line. Not that you can't take, play an exchange, then don't touch the pawn, but it's a different game. Ian retreats, and now everyone and his chess dog plays knight f6 here. Main way to go. But Hikaru has been pioneering this sniper attack early doors, bishop on c5. Rumour has it he's been working with a mystery coach to develop this deadly system. So Ian calmly responds by pushing the c pawn, wants to build the big white centre. We get knight g to e7. Why there and not there? Well, we're about to see. Ian goes d4 for the score, and Hikaru takes, gives Ian this massive centre, but lands a check. He even shoots it at his opponent, as many of the top guys do, to really emphasise the power of that check on the king. Ian blocks the way, the bishops leave the board, knight recaptures, and look at the centre. It's under siege, but Hikaru's staying alive with d5. The Gibb brothers would be proud, and now surely you push on with e5. Looks so natural, but then you give up the f5 square. This is partly why the knight landed on e7 early doors. So instead we see castles. Hikaru does the same. Ian now does a kind of awkward king safety smile. Hikaru gives a little wave back, and h3 now played. Gives the king some Lufthansa. Secures the knight on f3 from this pesky bishop. You want to be able to protect your centre. Hikaru now goes knight b4, foraying forth aggressively, but a3. Where's your knight headed? Well, this is where it's on. Now we see an octopus that Stocktopus is proud of. The pawn hit, but Ian doesn't even defend. He plays bishop b3, and he starts nodding and smiling and saying, go on Hikaru, take it. Take it, I dare you. See what happens? Well, this is what happens. The queen simply moves. The knight is trapped unless it comes here, but then you take back with this one, and the pawn structure's a mess. White dominates the centre. So not played. The poisoned pawn left alone. By the way, speaking of poison, the most incredible story in Russia. This lady poisoning a chess player. What on earth is going on there? People asking me to cover it. I don't even know what I'd cover. Maybe I'll get to it. I don't know. Craziness in the chess world. Hikaru now pushes the c pawn here, defending his centre, and Stock Squid wants to take on d5 and then pop a pony on e5. Different game, different structure. Instead we see the move of queen e2, hits the knight but given the miss, because after knight f4, queen under fire, Hikaru doing a poker face, hoping Ian doesn't spot it, but he does. He once fought for a world chess championship, twice in fact. We now see the second knight joining its brother, and Hikaru's turning the screw, attacking the white king, because after rook e1, bit ugly, bit congested. Ian needs a hot toddy over there. Get on to Ask Jeeves if you've never heard of one of them. Rook e8, eyeing the lady. We now get e5. And yes, it looks like white's got things under control, but look at this for an overpowered move. First bishop f5, scything down the long diagonal. King h2, trying to improve the safety. And now f6 starts to bring the army forward. Ben Feingold says never play it, but Ben Neiman is proud of that move. It's absolutely demolishing the white centre. Knight h4, the preferred move of Stockeel to go after this unprotected bishop, but queen c3 played, getting out the gaze of the rook, keeping it PG, but now Hikaru's got some pleasant options. He could already take on e5. He instead goes queen d7, connecting the rooks, and look at the absolute monster tactics he's setting up on h3. So Jan captures on f6. Now it does allow Hikaru to immediately play knight e2, supported by this cannon which just has its eyes open, but it wasn't yet played. Instead we see captures, given the miss, but after takes, also given a miss, we do now see the move coming on the board. Knight g1 should be played to fight against that move, but rook e1, given the double question marks, the doom of any chess player, you never want to see that appear on the board, makes you want to wallow in a hole. We now see knight e2. Exclam, hits the queen. It has to move out to Siberia here. The guy on h2 is like, honey, can you come back please? Help me with these pesky kids swarming around, about to crash through, and you can immediately take here. In fact, if pawn recaptures, the knight comes in, and just how do you defend? You know, if knight g1, not only can you be taken, well not best actually, then there's takes here, but there's queen g7 and you just creep in a way that you cannot defend. Crazy lines. So taking immediately good. But Hikaru hops first, also a very dangerous idea. Bishop d1, great defensive move, pressuring one of the ponies, and now finally Hikaru plays it, crashing through, ripping open the king's shelter. These little piggies are feeling scared. The big bad wolf wants to blow the house down. You can't take, the queen comes in. So g3 played, and you cannot move this knight backwards. You know, this one collapses, the whole attack just falls apart. So you have to keep going forward. Hikaru recognizes that, and he does one of the rarest things in chess, a real cheeky moment. He fianchettos on the enemy square. Look at that, right in behind enemy lines, threatening an invasion of the queen. That's why there's no time to take the knight, and that's why knight g1 is forced to cover the square. But continuing the attack in the best manner is just impossible in blitz chess really. The best move here, as I'm indicating, is this queen g7 creeping in. But here's the line you've got to see. White can take, you then have to go bishop f1, basically only move to keep the attack, but then the rook takes, but then you go here, threaten this mate, and there's no rook takes on e8 with check. And how do you actually defend that? Well, you don't, not in a proper way. Bishop f3 can be played, but then the queen starts snaking its way in. If bishop blocks, h5 comes. If king back, it leads to a mate in just a moment with the rook joining the party. Really difficult lines to see. No wonder Hikaru didn't spot it. Instead, he plays the move of knight takes on g1. Looks really natural. Excuse me, itchy eye. This one gets rid of one of the defenders of this square, right? But there is a problem. You can now take with check. Here's some of the key differences between the lines. And actually, king f7 is the favourite move of the Silicon Overlord, allowing the queen to still come to h3. But super tricky lines. And there it's only given a draw, because this one can start giving a perpetual check. But none of it played. Hikaru does actually capture the rook. Really natural move. But now there's takes on f4 and two pieces hanging. The attack has fizzled out, and the problem now is that Jan is the one attacking Hikaru. So what to do? The engine wants bishop h3. Hikaru invades, hits the bishop, also defends his knight, but it allows Jan in behind enemy lines with the queen, checking this king. He's humming check out my melody, and now an immediate queen f5 was very strong. Why? Well, it's a really nice subtle point. If you now take this bishop, this is actually a checkmate in 2. You couldn't checkmate in 1, of course, because the f6 pawn controls this square. So after this move here of queen f5, king g7, whoops, sorry, not taking the bishop, king g7 forced, cover the pawn, but then you check and defend the bishop. Now the king goes somewhere, you know, wherever, king h8, I don't know, and now you take the bishop. This is the key difference in the line. You hold this one, and if takes here, I didn't explore, but I guess we take here. Fine, let's come back. Because after this move of immediately taking on g2, which Jan played, Hikaru gets to take on d1. Different game, it's now just level. The white advantage is blown, because after queen f5 comes, same idea, king g7, this time you haven't got the check. The queen covers the square. Subtle stuff, but important stuff. Jan starts checking, and now this is the moment that Danny describes as unbelievable. Hikaru can hardly believe it himself. The checking's going on. Surely we're headed towards perpetual. No. Hikaru wants more. That one given the miss, by the way, because the engine says F5. But you have to go back with King G7 now, not stagger up the board. Hikaru allowing his own king to be flushed out like poop from the Seine in readiness for the swimming events at the Olympics. And it spells disaster, because now the knight rotates to F1, threatening this monster fork to win the queen after you check that king. And how do you deal with it? We see the pawn captured, but what if this one? This is of course a critical line. Well, you check, but you block with a counter check. How epic is that? And the king's actually got no squares. Queen and knight, what an attacking force. Pawn helping, these ones joining in, so the king would have to take, and now you get checkmated, or you give up your queen, right? So checking from G4, no good. Instead we see the king take on F4 here, but it allows Jan to now come in with a devastating attack, because even though that king got out the forking way after knight G3, you could have started with queen E3 check, but Jan does it in this order. You're still in a world of pain, because you have to actually go queen D3 to cover this square, but then you shed an entire knight. So Hikaru tries to hold on to the material desperately. I mean, he's on absolute seconds, but now there's this check. The king getting given the run around. This is a really nice find, keeping on that light square diagonal, moving in, check from here, and Hikaru resigns the game, because this is the only legal move, and then you shut the trap. Queen and knight, epic.
And Ian Nepo wins the game.
Unbelievable. Again, Hikaru, he lost that game.
So what does it mean? Jan dominated the 5+1 portion, but Hikaru stormed back in 3+1, as you can see on screen. Then he just trounced Jan Nepomniachtchi in the bullet, ran away with it, sets up the semi-final we wanted though, let's be honest. Hikaru Alireza. On the other side we got Hans Magnus, and then of course we'll have the big final. It's all in Paris in a month's time. Smash subscribe to never miss a future video, and for another epic game of chess by Magnus Carlsen no less, check out the incredible video on screen. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you soon.